The trap of living for others. From childhood, many of us are conditioned to believe that putting others first is the hallmark of being a good person. Whether it's through familial expectations, societal norms, or cultural influences, we are taught to sacrifice our happiness, time, and energy for the benefit of others. While kindness and compassion are essential, there's a fine line between being helpful and allowing others to drain your life force for their gain. Living for others often leaves us depleted, unfulfilled, and filled with regret. It's only later in life that we realize the time and energy we poured into people who didn't genuinely care for us. These so-called friends, or even family members and in-laws, often turn out to be nothing more than opportunists, riding our coattails for personal gain. When we finally assert boundaries, we are met with anger, not because we've done anything wrong, but because they've lost access to their free ride. Here are 4 common ways we are manipulated by energy vampires on different levels. First, we have physical manipulation. You've likely encountered people who rely on your physical strength or sexual energy to meet their needs. These individuals often reach out when they need heavy lifting, a ride, or physical intimacy, offering little to nothing in return. They drain your physical resources, leaving you exhausted. The second is spiritual manipulation. Some people see your spiritual strength as a resource for their own growth. They come to you during their lowest moments, seeking guidance, prayer, or advice. Once they're back on their feet, they disappear, only to return when they need your spiritual energy again. Third up is emotional manipulation. The emotional manipulator often plays the victim, exploiting your empathy. They create crisis or magnify their own struggles, pulling on your heartstrings to secure your support. Over time, their constant negativity can leave you emotionally drained. Last but not least, number 4, mental manipulation. These individuals see your intelligence, creativity, or expertise as tools for their personal gain. They frequently pick your brain or ask for help with tasks they're unwilling to learn themselves. Once they've achieved their goal, they may act as if your contribution was insignificant. Being perpetually nice can lead to a life of regret. The reality is that people who prioritize their needs over yours often feel entitled to your time and energy. They rarely reciprocate or even acknowledge the sacrifices you make. Over time, this imbalance chips away at your self-esteem, happiness, and sense of purpose. It's essential to understand that saying no isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. Your life is yours to live, and no one else should take precedence over your well-being. Protecting yourself from energy vampires is an act of love, both for yourself and for those who genuinely value and respect you. Now, here are 10 ways to protect yourself from energy vampires. Set clear boundaries. Clearly communicate what you will and won't tolerate. Stick to these boundaries to prevent others from taking advantage of you. Because if you don't stick to the original boundaries, others are observing. Let me tell you a little story. And most people who have worked in jails or prisons and with the incarcerated understand this. You must come into the facility as a new officer or employee and be very firm in your initial dealings with those who are incarcerated, because they have nothing but time to evaluate you to see how they can manipulate you. So once they see that one person or one inmate can't pull your heartstrings and manipulate you, they know you're not the one to play with. And it doesn't take a person to work in a jail or a prison to understand this. You have one friend or so-called friend who gets over on you, and another one will try afterward because they see how easy you are. Ladies, be very careful who you give your adornments, goodies, and charms to, because a lot of men have big mouths. And so when their friends come around, you kind of understand what they're looking for. You got to be careful. Learn to say no. Practice saying no without guilt. See, I've learned all of this in my life. Your time and energy are valuable and should be reserved for people and activities that enrich your life. Here's a rule of the thumb for me personally on that, learning to say no. I'm not going to say yes to someone who has no trajectory and no history and no timeline of striving for something. If I see that you're talking about getting into a certain endeavor, but you've never studied, you've never taken action, you didn't seek advice, you didn't research, nothing at all, the books on your shelf, if you have any, because many people don't read, does not reflect what you say you want to do. If you can't make an effort to try to ascend in that area of expertise, get away from me. I can't help you. You've got to help yourself. Next is limit contact with negative individuals. Identify those who drain your energy and limit your interactions with them. Surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. You can feel it. You have people who will call you on the phone, and to yourself, you say, oh God, I can't pick up. Even yourself on the deeper levels know that you don't want to be bothered because there's nothing good coming out of that conversation. There's certain people that ring your phone unexpectedly, and it's a joy. You can't pick that phone up fast enough because you're on the same wavelength. But be very careful with the negative individuals, because you'll average down to their level and find yourself drained and depleted. The next one is prioritize self-care. Dedicate time to activities that replenish your energy, such as exercise, meditation, or hobbies. Very important. What's your hobby? I said it like that for a reason, because most of us these days don't have that. Hobbies do more than just pass the time away. Whether you're collecting stamps, or reconstructing model tanks, or redecorating inside your house, or painting, or doing something in the garden, you need that to connect with yourself and keep yourself in line. I love to draw and haven't drawn in a long time. That's a hobby of mine that now, because of the internet, I can share my visuals with the world. Trust your instincts. If someone's intentions feel off, trust your gut. Often, your intuition will detect manipulation before your mind does. That's so true. I was just speaking to a friend of mine about that just about an hour ago. Trust your instincts. Trust your gut. Trust your gift of discernment, your first mind. We can call it different things, but it comes down to that inner voice. And that truly is the God speaking to you. Keep your goals private. Not everyone deserves to know your plans or aspirations. Share your goals only with those who genuinely support you. You know, we think everybody is happy for us in this lifetime, and there are those who are, but there are many who smile with us. And when they find out what our goals are, they put mental energy to this thing not happening. Haven't you heard? People say when you have a goal, don't tell anybody anything, because their energy, and it will not maybe stop you, but it will throw roadblocks in your way. Trust and believe. And let them be in shock once you've reached that goal, because once it's done, they can't do a daggone thing about it. Evaluate relationships regularly. Periodically assess the people in your life. Are they contributing to your happiness, or are they taking more than they can give? Me, I don't mind saying it. I've always been a giver, but I'm only now selective with who I give to. I often found myself drained and run down after doing things for people and giving them the hookup and showing them how to do things and turning around and doing it for them. And most of those people, now that they don't have access to my time, energy, and love, we can put them in the hater box. And I know it's a torturous thing for them, because I gave so much, and it's going to be very hard for them to find somebody who gives as much as I do. Reward the good people in your life and starve out and vanquish those who don't deserve you. That's the bottom line. And don't feel obligated to fix others. You are not responsible for solving everyone's problems. Offer support when appropriate, but don't take on burdens that aren't yours. It doesn't mean they had to do something for you before you can do something for them. But once you do that, it sets forth an energy in the universe, and they won't appreciate you as much for the most part. What do they call it? When a man tries to save a woman, you know the term in the hood, Captain Save-A-Hole? Those guys always end up run down. And there are women who are like that too, to want to fix broken men. Even if it's just a friendship of the same sex, it could be anybody, a youngster, somebody who's older. You know, and that's the easiest one to get caught up in, when you want to help out somebody who's elderly or older and not realizing that sometimes they haven't done themselves right. And after you get past the smile, you realize that they just as evil and bitter as anybody else. Because age doesn't always bring wisdom. Isn't that something? Also, limit emotional availability. Protect your emotional energy by not overextending yourself to people who repeatedly drain you. Because if you put the food out, the animals will come to eat. It's like you have a big neon sign on your head. I'm emotionally available. You might be lonely. Don't let loneliness make you open yourself up to situations that are going to drain you and make you now lonely, tired, drained, and unhappy. Also, seek professional support if needed. If you struggle with setting boundaries or recognizing manipulation, consider speaking with a therapist or counselor for guidance. There's nothing wrong with that, because you see, we should be able to go to friends, the real ones, but they may not offer a non-biased, how could I say it, reflection of what truly is. You might need tough love, and they're not going to give it to you for the most part. For me, I appreciate anybody in my tight inner circle who's going to tell me what's up in my life in a brutally honest fashion. If you can't do that for me, I don't need you in my inner circle. You see, life is too short to spend it on people who don't value your time or energy. By prioritizing yourself You can maximize your efforts in ways that truly benefit you. It's not selfish. It's necessary for your growth and happiness. Remember, the energy vampires in your life are not your responsibility. The sooner you recognize and address their presence, the more room you have for genuine connections and meaningful experiences. Take control of your life today and don't let anyone dim your light for their benefit. I hope somebody heard this today. Something told me when I woke up this morning to speak on this topic. Let me know if it touched you. And pretty much we all know these things, but sometimes we need to be reminded. I know I'm going to come back and listen to this because I still need to be reminded. We're only human. And if we slip and fall into old ways of allowing people to come and drain us, we can dust ourselves up, stand up, and try again to do ourselves better. You can never go wrong by loving yourself. And you should always put yourself first. And if anybody tells you that you're selfish, then they're suspect, because they should want the best for you as you should want for yourself. This has been Lancescurv of Lancescurv.com. Thank you for spending your precious time here with me. Share, like, subscribe, and know that I love you very much. I'm on to the next one. Lancescurv out. Peace.
Lancescurv.com. Bold, raw, and uncut.